Hi everyone, welcome to our lesson today, Grade 4 English, First Additional Language. I am Taryn Curry and I will be your teacher for today. So yesterday, we learned about different types of reptiles. You listened to a story about different reptiles and then you used your amazing memory to answer the questions. I must say, I was very impressed with how well you guys listened. But for today, we're going to be focusing on our reading and writing. So we're going to go through a comprehension, and you'll see I have split it into two sections, just so it makes it a little bit easier to go through the questions with you guys. Then after each section, you're going to answer those questions, and then we're going to see what your answers are. And then I'm going to teach you how to write a summary based on today's comprehension. So our story today is going to be about the Komodo dragon. So I'm not sure how many of you know what a Komodo dragon is, but don't worry if you don't, because I do have a short video so you can see what they look like and even how they act. So the story I'm going to read with you comes from eClassroom. It's a wonderful website full of worksheets. It's got comprehensions. It's got different subjects that you can actually use to help you. And it's also the same work that you do in class. So the first paragraph is animal classification. The Komodo dragon is a giant lizard. Lizards belong to the reptile family, and there are over 3,000 lizard species throughout the world. A lizard is very similar to a snake, except that it has legs. The lizard species includes geckos, chameleons, iguanas, and Komodo dragons. Appearance. So this is how they look. The Komodo dragon is very long. It can grow to 3 meters. Its mass, so it weighs, it can reach up to 135 kilograms. It has a brownish yellow scaly body, which is often camouflaged when it sits still. It has short stubby legs and a very long giant tail. That is, it is as long as its body. The Komodo dragon has a set of 60 sharp teeth and a long yellow tongue, a forked tongue. So keep those facts in your mind, because now we're going to have a look at some of your questions. So I'm going to read through the questions with you, and then I'm going to give you a minute or two to write down your answers, and then I want you to share it with me. Number 1, which other animal is a lizard similar to? Number 2, what other lizard species are there? So we know we've got the Komodo dragon, but there were 3 other types. So you can name me one of those other types. And then number 3, how big can the Komodo dragon grow? So I want your answer to be in meters and kilograms. So I want you to tell me how long it can get and how much it can weigh. So quickly write down your answers, and then I'd like you to share them with me. Okay, so let's have a look. For number 1, we've got, they are similar to snakes. Because remember, they said that lizards are similar to snakes, but lizards have legs. Number 2, what other lizard species are there? So I said the Komodo dragon is one of them, and I want the 3 others. So you can name just one. So we said there are gecko, iguana, and chameleon. Number 3, I wanted to know how big the Komodo dragon can grow. So we said 3 meters and 135 kilograms. So it's quite big and very heavy. All right, let's move on to part 2 of our comprehension. The habitat. So who can tell me what habitat means? So habitat means it is the place where the animal lives. So it's where you'll find them. So the Komodo dragon can be found on 4 islands that are part of the country of Indonesia. They are cold-blooded animals, and at night they live in burrows they have dug in order to preserve heat. The females dig holes and lay around 30 eggs. Their food. Komodo dragons are carnivores, as they hunt and eat other animals. They will eat almost any animal they can catch. They can run at about 20 kilometers an hour, and they do this to catch their prey. They have sharp claws and teeth, and they sometimes eat their prey in large chunks and even swallow some animals whole. They also have poisonous bacteria in their saliva, so if they bite an animal and it escapes, it will soon die. They are called cannibals because they also eat their own young dragons. It's a shame they eat their own babies. That's quite scary. So let's have a look at these questions. So number 4, where do Komodo dragons live? Number 5, how many eggs can a female lay? Number 6, which word in the story tells us they only eat meat? And number 7, why is it bad if they bite an animal? So quickly think of those answers, and then we can look at them together. So number 4, I want to know where they live. So remember I said they live on a certain place near a country. So you must mention those 2. Okay, let's see who's got it right. So for number 4, they live on 4 islands that are part of Indonesia. So if you just told me Indonesia, you are only half correct, because they don't actually live in Indonesia. They live on islands that are outside of the country, but it is part of the country. Number 5, how many eggs can they lay? They can lay up to 30 eggs. That's a lot. Number 6, which word in the story tells us they only eat meat? That is carnivore, because only carnivores eat meat. Then number 7, the bacteria in their saliva is poisonous. All right, so remember I told you I'm going to show you a quick video. So this comes from YouTube. You can see the link on top here. It's a very short clip that I just wanted to show you how they look. So let's have a look.
Are you serious?
Okay, so that was just to show you how they move, how big they are, and how scary they look as well. So now I want to look at summarizing your information. So remember, when we summarize, we want to write a shorter version of the work. We don't want to simply go and copy the whole story over again. That's going to take too long. We want to make it shorter. We also want to make sure that the work is in your own words. And we do this because it helps us to see if you understood what was read. Because when you can understand, you are able to put it in a way that you can show you understand. So let's see how we're going to write a summary. Well, there are different parts when we summarize. So the first thing we have to do is we need to look at the topic sentence. So this is the very first sentence in your summary that will tell me who or what the information is about. So it's not very long, it's generally like a sentence. Then the next parts are your facts. So there can be quite a few depending on how long your information is. But your facts are the most important things that you learned from the information. So maybe it's something you found interesting, or it was something you didn't know about, or maybe even something you think someone else will enjoy. So the facts can have any amount. There can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending how long your information is. Then the last part is your conclusion. So this is what you thought about the information. So it's your own opinion. This is where you can say if you enjoyed it, if you found it interesting, maybe you thought it would be better for a higher grade. It's your choice. So that will be your last sentence where you close off your summary. So remember, we want to try and write it in our own words. We don't want to copy from the story. So you'll see now, we're going to go through an example together. The example on the left-hand side is actually the listening activity I did with you yesterday. So while I'm reading through that, I actually want you to copy these headings on the right-hand side, because this is what we're going to use to do this activity. So while I'm reading, you're going to copy the headings, and then we're going to look at the summary together. Reptiles are animals such as turtles, tortoises, snakes, lizards, and several others. They are cold-blooded and have backbones. Most reptiles lay eggs, and their skin is covered with scales. They live on land and in the sea. How would you recognize a reptile? The most common way to tell the difference between a reptile from other creatures is by their scales. Scales protect their bodies, and these scales can be hard or soft, large or small. Do you know what cold-blooded means? Well, warm-blooded mammals, like humans, have a body temperature that is controlled from the inside, and it stays the same in all kinds of weather. Cold-blooded animals, like reptiles, do not warm their bodies from the inside. Their bodies are hot when they are in hot places and cold when they are in cold places. They have to lie in the sun to keep their bodies warm. You will often see reptiles lying in the sun. When they get too hot, reptiles go into the water to cool down. Reptiles are not the same as amphibians, even though they look similar. Amphibians, like frogs, use gills for breathing, while reptiles have lungs. Reptiles lay their eggs on land. Reptiles are found on every continent except Antarctica. All right, so my topic sentence, who or what is this information about? So what were we reading about? So it's all about, we know reptiles, but I can mention it's reptiles like turtles, tortoises, snakes, and lizards. Because remember, we want to try and write full sentences. Now, the first fact that they mentioned was that they are cold-blooded and have a backbone. My next fact told me that they have scales to protect their bodies. So yes, we know they have scales, but why? To protect themselves. So we need to have lots of information. The next fact, I'm looking at the third paragraph, is that reptiles can't keep their bodies warm from the inside, so they lie in the sun for warmth. My last fact, but you could actually add another one, is I'm looking at the last sentence, is that reptiles live all over except Antarctica, because remember, it's way too cold for them. So now for your conclusion, remember I told you this is what you thought. So I can't exactly tell you what to say, but you can start it off by saying, I thought this information was ... and you complete the sentence because this is your own opinion. Excuse me. So once we've got all of those sentences, that's not our summary finished. Now there's one last step. We have to take all those sentences and make a paragraph because we want to present it nicely. So if I take those sentences and I put them on a piece of paper, is that how I write a paragraph correctly? No. Because when I write a paragraph, I must make sure my sentences follow one after the other. It's like a train. It's all connected onto one main part. So all my carts are joined, just like my sentences. They have to follow one after the other. So I don't skip lines. I don't go to a new line for a new sentence. It follows. So now I can see the second block. This is a correct paragraph. So yes, if my sentence is too long and it reaches to the end of my line, then I move on to the next line. But in the third sentence, you'll see it's a shorter sentence. So I'm able to fit a word in. So I do. And then I carry on the next line. So for your homework, you're going to read through this comprehension on your own. So we have done it now together, but I want you to read it again so you can get all the details. Then you'll see on page 2 of the document, you're going to use that format to write your summary. So remember, plan it first, write your sentences out, and then you write your paragraph. So don't forget to find this worksheet. You need to go onto the Africa Teen Geeks website, look for the grade 4, and then open it, go to the English folder, and you'll see that same worksheet. When you are done, share your summary with me on my Flipgrid. I'd love to see what you've learned from today. So please join me on Monday, where we're going to do some writing. We are going to look at how to create your own poster. So it's going to be a very nice creative lesson for those of you who love to do art and color and stuff. So I hope to see you all on Monday and have a fantastic weekend. Goodbye.